It's been wild how many people like have reached out to us, and we've got a beautiful community on our Discord, people all around the world that are connecting through our music and helping each other out. And some people have met friends for life, and then they'll meet at our shows. And if that's not what it's all about, then I don't know what is. Especially for people that maybe feel really isolated and lonely, and hearing a certain song one day might be the difference between keeping fighting or giving up. And that's really a drastic thing to say, but that is reality of a lot of music. It really does save people's lives.
Welcome. My name is Kiki. My pronouns are she, her. This is the Bleeding Metal podcast where we talk about mental health, human rights, diversity, and other very interesting topics in the heavy music scene. I am super excited to welcome Janine from VUKOVI today. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Just thought the classic technical errors that I usually have every time I do anything like this.
Yeah, we're used to those.
That's fine. No, I'm good.
That's really good to hear. I'm so happy to have you. I don't know if I'm coming late to the VUKOVI party, but I just discovered the band last year through My God Has Got a Gun, and
Amazing.
It was instantly one of my favorite records of 2025. So
Thank you.
I am super excited to have you here.
Honestly, that means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your background? You can start in your childhood, your formative years. Were there any musicians in your household? What's your life story?
My God, where do you start, really? Spent the first, I would say, 5 years of my life in Berlin, the West Berlin, in like military accommodation. My dad was in the Royal Engineers, and when they split up, my mum moved back to Scotland. I went back with my mum to Ayrshire in Scotland. And yeah, grew up in the west coast of Scotland, I would say, were mostly my formative years. All my family like loved music. I wouldn't say there's any musicians in the family, but I was brought up with a lot of colourful music in the house growing up through my brothers and my mum. So, and I think I really gravitated towards film as well, and soundtracks, movie soundtracks, gaming. I loved gaming. Did a lot of singing in school. No one really, and it wasn't really something that someone told me to do. I just really wanted to do it, and I was quite bold where I would just kind of go to the guy who ran the jazz band, and I was like, "Do you want a singer?" They didn't have any singers in the jazz band. I must have been in like second year or something at school. So what would that have been, 12? When he was like, "No, but do you want to?" So yeah, I think it kind of started from that point. It's been a bit of a wild time.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I did have quite an interest in musical theatre as well. I went down to London, I think when I might have been like 21, 22, and I got down to like the last 22 girls for this Andrew Lloyd Webber show in London for The Wizard of Oz. It was to be Dorothy, but I really didn't enjoy the experience at all. I felt like it was quite a toxic environment, and they were pinned against all the other girls, and I just didn't like being told to be someone else as well. But I get that's the whole point in musical theatre. You're playing a character, and I just didn't really want to be there. And Andrew Lloyd Webber sort of called that out, like, you look like you don't want to be here. And I was like, "Nah, I don't." Sorry. So yeah, he was like, "Go and be a rock star." So when I came back to Scotland, I felt like the stars kind of aligned, because when I came back to Scotland, a guy I went to school with was like, do you want to come and sing in like my band? And that was, well, it was Wolves at the time, but that's basically what turned into VUKOVI. So I felt like the timing was just sort of perfect there. The rest is sort of history from that point. I've really condensed my life there, but when you're put on the spot, it's quite hard to like think about it.
About that.
It's all right.
And I'm sorry about you having a bad experience with musical theater. I feel like it's so good that you knew what you wanted through that, even though it was something kind of negative that gave you clarity about what you actually wanted to do. You wanted to be yourself through your own
100%.
music.
It was an amazing experience. Felt like when I went down, I was competing with a lot of girls that were, going to some pretty prestigious musical theatre schools at the time. I grew up in a scheme in Scotland, so I didn't have that background as such. And yeah, turning up and they've all got like the most expensive dance gear and shoes and had lessons. I did feel quite out of place, but I guess that's a test of character and strength, and I did learn a lot from it, and I made some friends as well that I still talk to from that experience, but it just made me realise, like, nah, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was an incredible experience.
I can imagine. By that really early age, you had already started making experiences in jazz and musical theater. How did you come to metal or heavier music? What was your first confrontation with it?
Oh, it was Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory and Evanescence. I think going from like I loved pop growing up, and I think going from pop to like being introduced to this, I think it was like it was at the time it was the perfect gateway from a pop person into metal and rock. Because I think especially with Hybrid Theory and Evanescence, Emily, like they have the most incredible melodies and top lines with that sort of grit of the heaviness behind it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I fell in love with that almost instantly. Didn't think like, oh, I want to be in a rock band. Like I didn't think that would ever be a thing, but it definitely sort of started that love for rock and metal.
Mhm.
But I think when VUKOVI did form, Hamish, he introduced me to a lot of heavy music and rock music, and then yeah, just evolved from there. I wouldn't say I like just one type of music. It's literally everything. I get very passionate about anything that I like.
That's great. And I feel like we can hear that in your music.
Yeah.
How did the band grow together? How do you put your influences together?
When we first started as a band, like we had no idea what we were doing really. Like we were from west coast of Scotland. There's not a lot of opportunities up there. We didn't have a lot of money, and I think you do feel like, especially when you're starting out, coming from those backgrounds, I felt like a lot of the time you feel like you're fighting a losing game. But I guess it kind of encouraged us just to do what we wanted to do and what we loved and make what we love. And just going back to your question about our inspirations and things, like there just was a really nice amalgamation of that. Yeah, it kind of just worked. We were a four-piece originally, and then from album 2 we ended up being a two-piece, and it has been that since then, but with our drummer Martin, who's pretty much in Vukovi at this point. But I don't have any like formula, honestly. It's just drawn from inspiration, and like both having me and Hamish have very similar tastes. I guess we've got similar passions when it comes to art, movies, gaming, music. I think the hard thing is not trying to cater to what you think people will like and what you think will sell and what you think will do well. Like you need to be clever. It's no point in writing a 10-minute space jazz song. Like I don't think that's going to get a lot of radio play. So it's not like you be absolutely ridiculous, but yeah, I think just if all else fails and you're not sure, just be yourself and make things that you like
Mhm.
and work with people that you love and that you think are cool.
That's actually, I feel, the best advice that a lot of artists give us. Like, just be yourself and do what you would love to hear yourself. Be your own biggest fan, that type of thing. Must be true.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you want to write for a particular style or write for a particular market, then that's also fine. To me, I just think could be quite exhausting trying to be something that you're not, that doesn't really please yourself.
Right. Talking about that exhaustion, you have been pretty open about how you deal with topics of your mental health through your lyrics for several albums now. How difficult was it to open yourself up to, well, all of your audience like that?
I think, honestly, for me, I was in survival mode and I just needed something to expel like a lot of darkness inside of me that I just had never dealt with, and not feeling shame about it. And I do think it is terrifying, but it also the amount of people that it's helped has been worth it. It's been a bit of a two-way thing because it's helped me and it helps other people. I guess it's like journaling or writing a diary, but like there's a certain artistic license there. It's not everything I say is just all about me. You're sort of turning it into art and expression with nods of some reality there. I genuinely struggle a lot with imposter syndrome, and I think most artists will say that, but like sometimes I really struggle. Like, how did we do this? I think just seeing how many people it's helped has just been wonderful and inspired as well.
Have you gotten a lot of that kind of feedback, like fans coming to you after shows and telling you how much your music has helped them?
So much. I can't express like how mad it is to hear people say that you've saved their life. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Like it's just really hard to process.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel not that the only reason to do this is to save people's lives, but I never thought that it would ever achieve anything like that. But that to me is like it's why one of the reasons why I'm doing this, why we're doing this, is to helping people and just making cool music that even in 200 years' time, someone might listen back to My God Has Got a Gun and it'll help them. Who knows? It might all be robots, but it might help the robots. It's wild. It's been wild how many people like have reached out to us, and we've got a beautiful community on our Discord sort of fan page of people all around the world that are connecting through our music and helping each other out. And some people have met friends for life, and then they'll meet at our shows. And if that's not what it's all about, then I don't know what is.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's
absolutely.
nice to make money as well. Like you can't do all this, you can't sustain this if you're not making money from it as well. But it's kind of mad to think about it, the reality
Yeah.
of what we've created and achieved.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful thing about music in general, but especially about heavy music, music that is so raw and powerful
Yeah,
and deals with very vulnerable topics. And as you were saying as well, the darkness we all have, we all go through, we all deal with, and finding this healthier outlet, but at the same time, finding community, realizing that we're not alone with those feelings and
yeah,
making friends, just feeling understood can be so impactful and change so much.
yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Especially for people that maybe feel really isolated and lonely, and hearing a certain song one day might be the difference between keeping fighting or giving up. And that's really a drastic thing to say, but that is reality of a lot of music. It really does save people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just listening to a podcast a moment ago about statistics that have been published about the use of artificial intelligence chatbots and how a lot of people out there are having very personal, private, vulnerable conversations with these robots.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this comes at a time where there is an isolation epidemic after the actual pandemic,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we are struggling to make real connection between humans. And so that actually doesn't really solve it long term. It's actually creating even more isolation and could be really dangerous. But that tells us even more how necessary it is to actually find other people and to be able to connect through similarities, through shared passions.
yeah. 100% agree. Like, I think that is another importance about live music, and we've always wanted to all constantly build our live shows because it's physical bodies walking through, leaving their house, walking through the door, and being around a whole room of people that have a similar, there's a similar subject here that you're going to see. And if that was ever to stop, like I can't imagine how fucked we'd be. And I also think there's two routes for music now and artists. You could go down the route where you're big, get a lot of streams, or you're big on TikTok or social media, but you're not maybe focusing on playing shows, which is also fine. But for us, I think ultimately we really want to just keep building the live shows and just having as many bodies in the one room together. And it's just so electric. Like, I can't even describe our shows. It's just so powerful, and it's addictive as well.
You're right. It cannot be replaced by any other feeling in the world. The feeling of living a concert, experiencing a concert together, and sharing the passion and the love for live music is
Yeah.
really incredible. Those are, in my opinion, the best friendships
A
almost.
hundred, 100%. And I do think word of mouth is still one of the strongest, ways of marketing. You've got 500 people, 1,000 people leaving a venue to come and see you, and then they tell five of their pals, like, oh, by the way, that was really good last night, saw VUKOVI. And to us, we just trying to just seeing the numbers growing and growing, and it's amazing.
Yes. And talking about technology, we also live in a world where AI bands are suddenly rising faster than I call them organic bands,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
real life people. And that is kind of scary. But I have heard this theory from a few people before now, and also shout out to Cody Johnstone, who said that on this podcast a few months ago, that this might be the turning point where we start to appreciate more the authenticity and the rawness of actual flesh and bone musicians, and appreciate more the little mistakes and errors, or music that is much less produced and sounds way more original, because humans are all unique.
Hmm.
And I'm curious to know how you navigate that space.
I agree with that. I think it's inevitable. We can't stop it now. To me, I think AI is just going to be a category of music. Well, it's not going to be like classical jazz AI, and AI will cover everything. And I think we can both coincide. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think we have a choice now. AI will never be human. I do think there's positives to AI and certain tools that you can use, but I think AI just making something from scratch, it's soulless. Could be the best song you've ever heard though, so you can't really stop that. But yeah, I would like to think that we'll have to just coexist, and I do think it makes real human music and art just that bit more special now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is more authentic. So yeah, I think you have to look at the positive in it and just see what happens, because it's growing in a frightening rate.
Hmm.
What I don't like is AI ripping off real artists and copywriting. That is horrendous, and unfortunately, the law hasn't caught up yet. And I really hope that it does, because that is the most devastating thing: is having AI, ripping off real artists. Maybe their style of their voice, or the style of their music, the style of lyrics, and then making it more listenable. I don't know, just pretty horrendous to think about.
We were just talking before as well about how it's good that musicians make some income from music, right? And that's something that AI plays a huge role in nowadays as well. What has been your experience, if you want to share? Do you still have a day job? How are you dealing with living in capitalism as a creative person?
Yeah, not gonna lie, it is horrendous. It's horrific. The system is so fucked when it comes to artists being paid fairly. I write music for film and TV as well on the side, and for like sync companies, and I do this as well. But we've worked so hard for a long time to get to this point. But the thing I think we've always battled with is the artist always seems to be paid last. You've got your manager, agent, merch, crew, like we just got like a renewal email for public liability insurance yesterday. That's going to be 750 quid, just like that. And it's like, fucking hell, like it's constant. I think being an artist, you have to get really savvy about business and finances, and really, you need to really stick up for yourself and protect a lot of your money, because if you don't have an eye on it, it will be spent very fucking fast, because it isn't their money. So I think for Vukovi, especially in the past 2 3 years, we have especially had to learn more about business. We have a limited company now. We did have a lot of help with that, with our manager. That's something that I think every artist has to do now. It's just, you really
Hmm.
have to learn the basic business and financial sort of needs to really try and capitalize on making as much money as you can, because the more capital that you have in your bank, the more options that you have. You don't need to sign any shitty publishing deals. You can do a lot more things for yourself because you can afford it. If you get offered a good support tour, you have the cash in your account to do that. Even thinking about how bad streaming sites pay you, that is a ghost story. It's horrific. One thing that we've learned as well is publishing deals are usually a fucking con. I think a lot of bands are tricked into selling their back catalogue for, 10 to 20 years for not really a lot of money, and you don't really get anything in return. And that is something that we've learned a lot about and a lot from. Making sure your PRS and your royalties and all that sort of set up, so that you're getting at least like a monthly or a quarterly income from that, is so important. Is try and keep as much of your own music.
Yeah, we were just talking about this on another podcast, how years ago, and I'm not the person that says that it used to be better in the past, but in the golden age of the music industry, everyone would have their job and the musician's job would just be songwriting. And nowadays you
Yeah.
also have to do all of the social media and all of the business. And when you're just starting out, I don't know how it was for Bukovi, but a lot of bands, including mine, are DIYing, producing, doing all of the recording at home. And also that is a big investment in gear to be able to do that, and
Mhm.
also in learning all those skills. And you have to do all that to get to a point where you finally start to get the support from labels, from management,
Yeah.
from other people. So it's like more than a full-time job. It's 3 jobs for one person, or for 2 people in your case, 4 people in others. There
Yeah.
are sometimes between musicians or between bandmates, there can be a better delegation of tasks, but it just feels so daunting that it's kind of this requirement now, even though they sell it to you in this really nice package of you can do it now. We have democratized music production, and so you can do all these things yourself and you don't have to pay anyone extra to do it.
I also think it's a good thing now because you're not having to rely on people because it's all very self-contained. But you can't do it all by yourself. Like, it's impossible. Or if you do, you'll completely burn out. You will. But I do think nowadays you will have a bit of an edge if you do learn a lot of these things for yourself. It doesn't need to be an expert capacity. And yeah, I guess that then comes to being clever with who you work with and who you choose that can complement what you have learned. We've always tried to work with people that can complement what we know and our strengths. But I agree, especially social media. Like, I know bands that are artists that are posting like 2 or 3 times a day, and the amount of time that they're putting into doing that. And it's like, what kind of return are you actually getting from that? The time that you're putting into doing all the social media, if you could look at the stats of what are you actually getting back from that, like what could you be doing with that time? Could you be living your life or like doing something that I think lots of people have different opinions on that. But from myself and what I've learned, the more time I spend off social media, the better that my mental health is. And I understand that we have to do it, like, but we're in control of that. I don't want to be an artist that is completely burnt out by trying to beat this social media algorithm. But thankfully Hamish is really clued up in social media. He does all that with the VUKOVI, but yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. Like, you do feel like you're doing 40 different jobs when all you really want to do is just write and do cool things.
Yeah. And you have written a lot of cool things. One song that I really wanted to talk to you about was Gangho. It's my favorite song. It's
Is
on my
it?
like
I love it.
it's on a lot of playlists. I listen to it when I get ready to go out, or when I want to feel like I can't take on the world or just survive another
Yes.
day. Because it has this whole sexy thing even. And I think it's such a difficult thing to deal with as a woman, again, living in a capitalist patriarchal society.
Yeah.
To take charge of your own sexuality in a way that you can be proud of enjoying it and free yourself from shame, and how that gets perceived in the world. Because especially as a musician, there's always the thin line to walk to put a sex sells stamp on it. And as an intersectional feminist, I'm like, more power to anyone who wants to show their bodies however they
Yeah.
want with
Yeah.
consent, right? It's our choice.
Yeah.
It's such a delicate line, and I think that on that song you walked it so perfectly, and it's just a song that I want to scream from the rooftops, and just like that, without thinking about it.
Yeah. I think that this album in particular has got a lot more sexual empowerment in it. And I guess like that was going to therapy, and I think as well, like, and this doesn't just cover women, but I'm going to say women because I am a woman and this is my experience. Women that have been sexually assaulted or sexually abused or maybe been in an abusive relationship. And I think like your relationship with sex can be kind of warped. I think going through like, well, trying to heal and work on that and having that sort of freeing feeling of you can have a really healthy relationship with sex and your body and not feel ashamed about that. And Gung Ho to me kind of felt like that. I mean, the song is about having a wet dream with the god of sleep, Hypnos, but it is kind of just like, I deserve to have fun and I deserve to do what I want within reason. Like, as long as everyone's safe and, consenting, why not?
Yes.
And I love the idea of people or women just like listening to that before going out and feeling really sexy and doing their hair and their makeup and
Yes.
dancing in the mirror, having a drink or whatever. And like that to me, again, it's like I love the idea of that.
Yes, it has that effect. I have this very distinct memory of just after the release of My God Has Got a Gun, listening to it on the way home after work. And it was this 10-minute walk that I had to take. And I was just, like this musical montage from
Oh,
a
when you
movie.
think you're in the music video walking down the street, like to the fake camera. Honestly, I love that. I've definitely done that before.
Yes. It's such a joy. It's so much fun. And I haven't had the pleasure yet to see you live, but I look very much forward to it because I can imagine how incredible that is for you as well to enjoy singing all those songs on stage.
It's so good. Honestly, it's amazing. Talking about another story I was told by a fan, she said that she was in a really toxic work environment. She was miserable. She's getting treated like shit. And today was the day that she was going to quit. So she listened to My God Has Got a Gun, like the song on the album, on the way to work and on the lift to her boss's office.
Mhm.
And she said that was like the G'ing up like song to be like, I fucking quit, see you later.
Yes.
I loved that. Just imagining her stood in the lift with the tune on, just being like, I can do this. Plain Gung Ho and My God Has Got a Gun live, Bladed as well. Like it just goes off. And for an album that has only been out a year, and we're going away on tour at the end of the month, so now I'm excited to see what the crowds are like a year after the albums came out because they know the songs more. But yeah, I was beautifully surprised at how much people like express how much they love the music at our shows, and just and again, I love to think that there's a community of like shameless, like we're all here to have a good time, let's all look after each other, let's all just go fucking mental and escape what miserable lives we live.
Absolutely. That is so important too, to have these safe spaces where we can just be and not think about everything, everywhere the world is actually burning, but just enjoy the moment.
Exactly. Like there's so much that is out of our control what's happening in the world, and it does become so exhausting because you feel like you're helpless in a lot of these situations that are going on. But I think that's why it's so important, to go to see live music, go and meet other people, like-minded people, and feel
Mhm.
safe and just leave sweating and exhausted and just so elated. That's such a gift to be able to give that to people
Oh,
and
that's so
to give
beautiful.
to us as well, because we put in so much work in our music, and then to see that it's helping people and people are paying money to come and see you and buying merch, like you can't think of a bigger compliment than that.
That's beautiful. Do you talk about these things live or on your social media? What do you talk about to your audience?
Live, it's all about the music and having a good time, and I don't really post a lot on social media anymore. I'm not sure the turning point, but something made me step back a bit from social media. I'm not entirely sure like what the exact thing was, but something scared me about it. The main thing that, I want to try and portray is just try and do what makes you happy and be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. You only live once. Life is very fucking short. I just want to try and be myself, and hopefully that will encourage other people to do the thing that they were maybe scared to do, or just sort of have that confidence, like you deserve to be here, you deserve to exist, and that's is enough. And again, just thinking about live shows, like we very rarely have any issues at our live shows. Like it's such a lovely environment of all walks of life. Like I wouldn't say there was more men than women. I wouldn't say there was a certain age group. It's so varied. I just think there's no space for arseholes, but everybody is welcome.
That's really good. That's really good. I love to hear from bands that they feel safe with their audience and that they have fostered such a healthy community. That's really lovely. I have talked a lot throughout the years about how the metal community, we say that we're so welcoming and so open-minded, and we have yet to live up to those words. We could do much better. So it's really good to hear that things are changing a little bit for the better.
For sure. It's just all about learning and living and growing up and evolving, really, innit?
Yes, that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
What about festivals? Can you announce already some festivals for the summer?
We're doing Slam Dunk We've got a really good slot there, really good time. I'm really excited about that. I think we have a couple in Europe. I can't remember what. This year, we really want to focus on writing and recording again. We're going to do an album playthrough show. So My God Has Got a Gun from start to finish. Nice big production. It deserves it. We did it for Nuala,
Yes.
and we need to do it for this as well. So in September, I'm
Oh, that's so
excited.
amazing.
Got a good year. Got a good year. I hope you get to see us soon.
I hope so too. Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time. And to our listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.